When you're chasing performance on the water, the gear you ride makes all the difference. Jamie Knox and Mark Shinn have spent years pushing limits and exploring new frontiers in foiling. Join Jamie and Mark as they share their experience with Access foils, the innovation, the feel, and how the kit has evolved in recent years.
I am Jamie Knox and this is Mark Shinn. We are here tonight to talk about foils and my journey with the foils, with Access, and obviously Mark's going to help me with that and ask me lots of questions. Also, I suppose I put the challenge out to other people to talk about their whole experience with Access as well. Here's mine and a bit of Mark's, I hope, as well.
Yeah, I think your journey starts a bit further to the right down the table than mine does, but I think we've ended in the same place.
Starting with the board spectrum, this was a great foil and we're still using this in the school today. It's just been a really slow, stable, easy foil. We absolutely loved it, and yeah, there's been many more versions of it come since.
I think this might be one of the foils responsible for teaching the most people in the world to foil, to be honest. I think it's everywhere you go, people say, oh, I learned on the Access BSC.
Yeah, I think it's even more so now. People are realising that this is still a really great foil. I mean, really, Mark, it's quite thick, isn't it? You know. And
well, yeah, but I think it's important to say that, you know, the thickness of the foil is only important in relation to the cord, which is the front to the back here, because you don't have different performance as the foil gets bigger, so long as it stays in proportion. And so, yes, it is quite thick, but it also has quite a big cord. And, you know, it's just such an easy foil. It takes off at low speed. It takes off really progressively. You know, for a beginner that doesn't know what's going to happen, it's intuitive and easy and super easy to control. And there's really nothing more to say about it than that. No, it's like,
yeah,
it's just ideal for those first stages.
Still today, we still teach with it. We're still teaching jibing. Yeah, the whole range has been fantastic. So then the journey really did start, the high performance. So it got the nickname of HPS, didn't it? Yeah. So we had a lot of these. I think the 1150 was like a real favourite in light winds for winging. So at this stage we were really getting into winging and we were like, oh, let's go in waves. And we really enjoyed this. This was a great journey.
I didn't actually use the HPS until recently because I kind of joined Access around the ART period.
Right.
And I used the HPS recently and I wasn't expecting to like it. You know, the design is 3 or 4 years old and I went on it and I was like, wow, this is still a really great foil. It's just a fun foil. It's quick, takes off early, stable, you know. I was really surprised because normally you would think in the life of foils, 4-year-olds is, you know, it's a millennium ago.
Yeah, and there's a lot of these second-hand on the market, so if you're getting into winging, they're really a great one. This was the 830, and this was the one that we liked most around here for the waves and going really fast. We always thought this was the fastest one.
I think this came as well from a more simple period in foiling where, you know, it was basically BSC or HPS was your choice.
Yeah.
BSC was a bit easier to learn on, and HPS, if you knew how the foil was what you rode.
Yeah, that would be true.
I think after this, foils got more dedicated into kind of downwind foils and wave riding foils and, you know, high performance foils. But I think this was kind of the heyday of the one foil does everything.
You know, we used to say to Adrian, oh, you know, can you not get another foil that doesn't keep lifting on the face of the wave? It came, the 999, and it was like twice as fast and twice as manoeuvrable, and we were like, thought this was absolute game changer.
Well, it was a game changer. It really was. I had my own brand of foils and was riding them at the time, and I actually bought one of these myself because there was so much noise about it, and I wanted to see what the noise was about. And the first 2 rides I did on it, I was like blown away, and then I resprayed it and put different logos on it for 6 months because the foil was so good.
It was the start of, wing downwinding, more tricks. I got the speed that I really needed and without too much lift.
For me, we didn't know what glide on a foil was until this came along.
Yeah,
This
I
just
think that's
rewrote
true.
the book on glide. It's like you could stand there, look down and go, how am I still foiling? How am I still moving?
And then, of course, I wasn't that aware of pumping. I was starting to get into that at that stage. Other friends were definitely finding this foil really good for pumping and driving through, with the pump. I think it was great.
Yeah, I remember coming here and some of the local prone guys were pumping around on the 899.
Yeah.
And at the time I was like, how is that even possible on such a small foil?
And now some people have, they've cut the tips off. You've seen that on the internet, and they claim it's the same as the other 99, but it's definitely more forgiving. And there's a lot of these second-hand on the market. So if you've got to the stage in your winging where you want a bit more speed, don't hesitate to find one of these on the internet second-hand or even new in a shop, Mark?
It's still a great
really
foil.
really current still. So there we were just riding swells and riding small waves, and then, we wanted more. We wanted to stay in the pocket of the wave, and really start, pushing the boundaries even more, riding waves and going out on bigger waves. So the Spitfire came, and it just felt so easy to use in waves. We just thought we were there,
Yeah, and this was when I was really, I joined Axis as riding for them at this point, and the ART, the glide and speed was amazing, but if you put it into the steep section of a wave, all that glide and speed just runs away, and it's really hard to stay on it. It's too fast. Yeah?
Control
and in fact, you don't want a particularly fast foil for wave riding. You want a controllable foil that you can put into a really steep section, and when you drop in, doesn't run off from underneath you.
Yeah.
And the Spitfire, you can just roll with so much confidence and stick it anywhere on the wave and know that you're going to come out stood on it. So it was, coming from the HPS, which was kind of the one foil that did everything. Then we got the ART, which was the glide master, but kind of left wave riding a bit behind. And then we got the Spitfire, which was just like, for wave riding, was and still is, I think, one of the best foils on the market for going top to bottom and in the pocket and cutting back, and an amazing foil. And if it's big now, I'll still choose a Spitfire because I don't want to go that fast. I want to stay in the pocket, not do the Pascal Macca speed run and be gone across the bay.
Yeah, and you can always, and I've learned, you can always just go down and down and down in sizes, which is great. And going on from that now, we do, have quite a lot of chop and disturbed waters around here. And we're selling this a lot after somebody's obviously had lessons with us. They're straight onto the Spitfire.
I think it's a clear progression, and the nice thing with the Spitfire is you have quite big sizes like the 1100 and the 1180.
Yeah.
And, for a bigger guy on the foil drive, it's perfect. On the wing, it's perfect. They still turn really nicely.
Yeah.
They start really early, and it's, it's just a great, let's say, second foil after you've learned to foil.
Yeah.
When you buy your first foil, it's just a great foil. It does everything really nicely. But of course, the Spitfire was great, but
everybody wanted to go downwind. So that journey started.
And Adrian tricked us because there was a ART 999 and 1099, and everyone was like, well, we want a bigger one for less wind and smaller conditions. And he swerved and didn't make a bigger ART. He made ART Pro.
ART Pro. Wow, that was just when we got these and we could get up in such light wind to go winging.
Yeah.
And then, do our downwind thing with the wing that we were doing. It was just so much fun yet again. Mm-hmm. We had to be careful though, particularly for me, I had to pick what sea conditions I could use it in. There had to be no cross chop, none of that sort of thing. It was, it was the first technical foil really that we started using, that you'd need a good technical ability and understanding of the foil. But the smaller ones I absolutely loved for winging. They were just so much fun. You know, I went to see Adrian in New Zealand and I got hold of the smaller ones, and they were just paradise. They were great. The bigger ones I think were just a bit harder. So once again, if you can find these second hand.
You know, it's a balance. You know, you've got performance and comfort, and if you want to push one, you're going to leave something a bit behind. And I think the 1201 and the 1401, its bigger brother, for downwinding and paddling up on a sub, just again groundbreaking at the time, but definitely there was a price to pay in handling. You know, you had to be careful. They have teeth, and if you're not in the right place on the board or you get a bit out of shape, they can bite back. But you know, that's a bit normal.
Yeah.
If you want performance there, you're going to have to pay for it somewhere.
What came next? Well, we wanted to go faster again in winging again. So
we wanted the Spitfire manoeuvrability and the ART Pro Glide.
Yeah.
So
and a lot more speed, yeah. More glide and more manoeuvrability. So I think the IRT for us, the last, how long has it been?
Nearly a year.
And we've used all the sizes now, because the 10.9 came out not so long ago. And I've used the smaller sizes also, you know, for towing in or foil drive. And these are just my thing. I think they're right for me. And they just give me that speed when I lose speed on the face of a wave, or they just do what I want them to do. So I'm very happy with this at the moment.
I think definitely for winging, it does everything you need it to do. It's fast, it turns really well, it glides really well. You know, okay, some other foils may glide a bit better and some foils may roll more aggressively, but wingers tend to ride in a lot of conditions. They ride when it's windy, so sometimes it's flat, sometimes it's onshore, sometimes it's cross offshore, and the ARTV2 really does tick all the boxes. That foil will do everything. You don't need to have a downwind foil and a dedicated wave ride foil and a glidey lightwind foil. You know, the range, you can tell that they had winging in mind when they made this foil.
What was next? There was a lot of hype, wasn't it, really? It was the Fireball.
It came out of nowhere because we were all expecting
something
ART
else.
Pro 2.
Yeah.
And the Fireball came. And the first time I saw it, I was like, great if you're racing, but that's not for me. And we were wrong.
Yeah, I love the 1160. I really do like it for downwinding with the wing. I'm still using the wing and the foil drive. And the 1070, if the sea conditions are good and there's no turbulence or anything like that, the 1070 is so much fun to use in waves.
It's such a rare thing because normally when you make a high performance foil, there's a trade-off. You know, we know with the ART Pro we had in the big sizes there was control. With the first ART, the low end starting wasn't that great. It's okay, but it's not that great.
Yeah.
And the Fireball, it takes off freaky early with almost no speed. It's super easy to control. It's fast. The glide is on another planet. It's easy to pump. It's really hard with this foil to say, oh, well, the trade-off is this, because I don't really feel a trade-off. And over the last 6 months, I've found that more and more foils in my quiver are getting left at home, and I'm only riding the Fireball. The 1350 is my favourite pump foil. You know, the 1160 is my favourite small wave foil and downwind subfoil. It's like the 1070 is my favourite wing foil. The 880 is my favourite kite foil, and yeah, pretty much the only time I use anything other than the Fireball now is the big PNG when I want to downwind when there's no conditions to downwind.
I have been learning to pump, you know, a lot more recently. I realised, you know, obviously doing clinics with you, and I realised that I want to be able to connect and then pump back out and get another wave. I've just found the Fireball is the foil. I think it kind of talks to me. I often think it says, oh, you're too low. so you can bring it all the way back up.
Yeah, that's the thing that makes it so good for pump, is it's so easy to recover high.
You can recovery, that's the word.
You can pretty much put the board in the water and still pump it back up high on the mast in 2 or 3 pumps.
Well, I've actually thumped the board off the water to get an effect there off the board, and then come back up and I'm off again. So this has been a great journey for me to learn how to pump. What this foil taught me, I then was able to learn and put into all the other types of foil that I was using. This kind of taught me the technique of how to pump, and then I could go back onto my 999 or 1099 and my Spitfires, and I know that there are different styles of pumping, but I know what style.
The fundamentals are the same. Yeah.
The fundamentals are the same. I can feel, this is dropping. Whereas this one seems to just tell me what is going on. So you need to come to a test centre like ours and, try them out.
I think it's important, especially with the Fireball, to not have a preconceived notion of what it is. Don't look at it, which is exactly what I did when I first saw it, and said, it's a raised foil, it's not for me. This is a foil that if you're intermediate level or better, you really will benefit from using this foil. Yes, you'll be able to ride it, and yes, you'll see the advantages in it. Don't think just because it's high aspect and big span that it's going to be too difficult or not for you.
Oh, what a challenge it's been, and thank you, Adrian Roper and Kevin and Evan, the whole team from Access, for giving this this journey and the ride of all these foils.
And if we shuffle these up a bit, we have a space here for
P&G.
I don't know, they won't tell us.
There is something coming, There's always something coming with Access. But like we said in the beginning, all these foils are still really, they're really good fun to use.
One of the things that attracted me to Access in the beginning was the fact that the infrastructure is common. The mast fitting, the fuselage, the stabilizers, the front wing, and if you're in the infrastructure, it's very easy to say, if you're looking around and you say, you can find 999 wing secondhand, really good price. At a price where you can say, I'm just going to try it. Just going to see what it does. Don't have to spend €1,000 to buy a integrated doodad and blah, 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 blah. It's, I really like the fact that you can just add a stabilizer, change the fuselage length, add a different front wing. I think it's, there's few brands that have managed to stay with the design of their foils from the beginning till now. Most have been caught out by the foils got too big and the connection wasn't stiff enough. And so I think that's really, really strong feature of the Access foils.
It sounds like we need to talk about masts and fuselages.
We probably should.